Hello, I'm Janine Seitetsu Larsen, one of the senior Dharma teachers with Empty Moon Sanghas and resident priest of the Bright Cloud Zen practice groups in Seattle and Woodinville, Washington. Case 5 in the Blue Cliff Record, Shui Feng's Grain of Rice. Shui Feng said to the assembly, "When I pick up this great earth, it's as big as a grain of rice. I throw it down before you. You black lacquer buckets can't make it out. Beat the drum. Please, search everywhere." In our sitting groups these days, the stress and bewilderment of duality seems to be plaguing us more torturously than usual. I attribute this to the double stressors of a pandemic roaring and ravaging again, like the wildfires of weeks barely past, and post-election waves of elation and despair. It feels like everything's coated with an ashfall of disbelief and anger, and soaked completely through with exhaustion. How are we supposed to feel right now? Is this one? Is this two? It's like trying to keep up with the 10,000 things, but they're all broken into shards and pounding on my door without a break. Does counting even have any meaning anymore? And in the middle of all this, Shui Feng tells us, when I pick up this great earth, it is as big as a grain of rice. Chinese Zen master Shui Feng Yukyung, or Seppo Gizon in Japanese, was born in 822 of the Common Era. He was entering the monastery when he was 12 years old, and then he was forced out some 20 years later during the suppression of Buddhism by the emperor. He was able to continue his training after a time. He traveled about and studied with many teachers for 20 years before awakening, eventually becoming a Dharma heir of Deshan, and was recognized by a later emperor as a greatly enlightened teacher to the regions and local rulers. He was influential in the spread of Buddhism in China through his travels and through his students, who became highly respected teachers, founding 2 schools of Zen. He is featured in 10 koans that are part of our koan curriculum. Perhaps his 20 years of earnest practice before realizing enlightenment was not always filled with patience and faith as he plugged along. When he was tenzo, or head cook, the abbot of the monastery, Dongshan, came into the kitchen and found him cleaning rice. Master Dongshan said, "Do you wash the sand away from the rice, or the rice away from the sand?" Shui Feng replied, "I wash them both away together." Dongshan said, "Then what will the community eat?" Shui Feng overturned the washing bowl. And Dongshan said, "You should go study with Master Deshan. Soon would be good." Later, as the head of his own temple, Shui Feng told his own students, "When I pick up this great earth, it's as big as a grain of rice." In the book, The Secrets of the Blue Cliff Record, Zen Comments by Hakuin and Tenkei, these eminent scholars and teachers of Zen note in the introduction to Case 5 about Shui Feng's grain of rice that teaching Zen requires the ability to kill people without blinking an eye in order to make a Buddha on the spot. They mark Shui Feng as this sort of teacher, admiring his exceptional skill in what we might call student-centered teaching. This sounds dissonant to our ears. What could killing people without blinking an eye possibly have to do with skillful teaching? But Shui Feng had years of working hard, gaining a sense of Zen around the tantalizing edges of full understanding. He yearned for the pointedness that goes like an arrow straight through to the core of the matter. So, as a teacher, he's able to draw on his own experience, wanting to reach clarity, laboring greatly to reach that shift that allowed him to simply realize principle and phenomena are not separate. Having felt his own frustration with the elusive nature of looking head on and seeing all the way through, he was moved by great compassion to address the real urgency his students felt to awaken without delay, to cut through delusion, to kill the separated existence and liberate the wholeness of being. Shuifang's own experience gave him an eye for leapfrogging over fundamentals and throwing open a window that might let a small light show enough ground that a beginning student could take a baby step forward quickly before another moment passed. Pulling someone through in this way might let a student see that there are already created conditions that one may build on towards fuller realization. Tenkei's comment is that this is like an expert at chess showing a weaker opponent his moves one by one to let him survive. Great teacher, great compassion. Tenkei also advises us to pay attention to what skill is used to pick up the world. When right and wrong, gain and loss, and all discriminatory thinking is stopped, then the whole universe is not even big enough to pick up with 3 fingers. It's the size of a grain of rice. Shuifang found through his experience that rice must be washed in order to nourish the community. To take care of the people, the cook must take care of the grit as well as the rice. That's why Dogen's directions to the Tenzo tells cooks to just roll up your sleeves and actualize the way. So, Shuifang sees that in this single grain of rice, he picks up the great earth. There is nothing extra, nothing missing, just this single grain, just this. The great earth is easy to grasp in its simple wholeness. And then Shuifeng offers it to us. I throw it down before you. This great earth, right at our feet. Are we able to discern it just as it is? You black lacquer buckets can't make it out. Shuifeng challenges us to break out of the jail of ignorance and delusion that we've been stuck in and often content to live in, despite the disorientation of being so confined and inert. He urges us to bust through the bottom of that lacquer bucket and be free all at once. He urges us to smash the bucket entirely, to wake up, and to help others do the same. Still can't see this one grain, this great earth? Then Shuifeng tells us, beat the drum, please search everywhere. In some translations of this koan, the line is, beat the drum to muster everyone to look. Hakwan's comment is that if we can't find this one grain great earth, we need to call everyone together as if you're looking for a lost child. Let's not delay. Summon all our resources, our deepest insights, our clearest vision, our greatest senses, the wisdom from teachers, the support of the Sangha. All of this is available. All of this can be brought to bear. It is time to bust out of the lacquer buckets that have held us captive and to reach out to pick up this great earth. Let us focus on what's right in front of us. Let's not stop to fret over what part ours is to play. This great earth is depending on us to see it, to see ourselves already and still whole and complete. There is a closing verse accompanying this koan. Oxhead vanishes, horsehead comes back. In the mirror of Zen, no dust at all. He beats the drum to have you look, but you don't see. When spring finally arrives, for whom do the flowers bloom? It's that last line that grabs me and doesn't let my attention wander. I finally recalled the echo of that line that had caught my heart in a poem by John Donne, who died in 1631. The poem inspired the title of Hemingway's book about the Spanish Civil War, published more than 300 years later in 1940. No man is an island entire of itself. Each is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thine own, or of thine friends were. Each man's death diminishes me, for I am involved in mankind. Therefore, send not to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Case 5. In the Blue Cliff record, Shui Feng's grain of rice. Shui Feng said to his assembly, when I pick up this great earth, it's as big as a grain of rice. I throw it down before you. You black lacquer buckets. Can't make it out. Beat the drum. Please search everywhere. When spring arrives, for whom do the flowers bloom? Thank you.